part 3. I'm sorry. I am really bad with recording, so I accidentally shut off. Wow, I turned off the recording. I pressed the wrong button. I was supposed to just press pause. Sorry. So basically, I was showing off the air conditioner right next, obscuring the view of everything that fell down on my shelf, which at first it didn't let me to believe, oh, somebody took something from there, or to double check or anything like that, because the AC was blocking it. So I at first did not see any of the mess. I did, though, instantly start to smell what smelled like burning hair, but it was coming directly from the air unit that's right next to me. So when I went to smell, I was like, I'm not the one who does the maintenance with the vent. With the sorry, I'm not the one who does the maintenance with the filter. My husband does that because it's sideways. It's positioned differently. So you would have to pull the whole unit out to get to it. So my first instinct was to go ahead and press power just to shut it off, because I figured maybe one of the dog hairs got sucked up into the system and just started to burn. Um, it's happened before. It's not like something that was that unusual. So um, sorry. So basically, I shut it off, and maybe not even 2 seconds later, it smelled like electrical and burning here. And I just thought the worst. I was like, oh my God, the system's like having an electrical fire or whatever internally. Let me unplug it from the wall. And then as soon as I unplugged it from the wall, of course, I didn't smell it anymore. But then not even a minute after I had pulled out the plug out of the wall, I had heard the most sorry. Oh, it's kind of reliving in my mind, and it's fucking horrifying. Okay, my daughter let off the most terrifying scream you could ever hear. Murder, horror type of scream. Mom, fire! Sorry, and and all I remember is my body leaped up out of its position, like if nothing hurt me, like if I was like 100% just like my body, my mind, I don't know what the fuck happened there, excuse my language, but it was like my mind switched gears, and pain, hurt, anything that I was going through was gone. And all I could think of was find out what's happening, you know. And when I hear fire, there's like all kinds of red flags just shooting off in my brain. So I went and I leapt out of the room, leaving my 6-year-old behind, because I just needed to go run to see what was happening, to assess what was going on. As I run, it's a long hallway to my son's room. My son's room is right next to our front entrance doorway, and it's actually separated by almost like a glass sliding door that's there to the side of the house. And then there's a front entrance. His bedroom's right there. There's just a glass sliding door separating him from the outside, basically. Um, and his bed was pressed up against that glass sliding door, so he has no access to it, not to mention we double lock it and everything. I'm getting off track, sorry. So as I'm running, he has no door on his room due to the fact that he used to, but he broke it off the freaking hinges twice. We just stopped putting a door. It wasn't worth it anymore. Um, sorry. So basically, sorry. Yeah. This is really intense. What's going on in my head? Give me 1 second. Wow. Okay, so I saw what happened. As I entered his room, his bed is up against the wall. He has a bare, clean room. It just had one dog bed inside of it and an outlet against the wall that was connected to a flat screen television so he could watch his cartoons and keep entertained while he's in his bed. Wow! His bed is a 365-degree safety enclosure that he got. Wow! When he had his wow, his he had open heart surgery at 3, so we had to get him a safety enclosure because he was so hyper at that point. He was already diagnosed with the ADHD on top of his Down syndrome. So wow. So he was up against that bed with the lighter in his hand, staring at the fire, and had the biggest smile on his face from corner to corner, just smiling like this is the best freaking thing I've ever seen in my whole fucking life kind of smile. And he was happy, not crying, not freaking out. Literally, just there was fucking joy coming from my son. It was incredible. I got him out as quickly as I could because the fire was kind of low. It wasn't high up. It wasn't like it had been burning for a while. It was like it just kind of caught and started spreading slowly, and it was getting there. I took him out. My daughter was frozen by the doorway next to his room. She could see the flames, and she said that she was just in shock, and she didn't see her brother, but in her peripheral vision, it was like he was there, but she just didn't see him because she was so drawn by the fire as well. She was frozen stuck. I had to yell at her, get him out, you get out. I have to go back for your sister. And I went running back to the opposite side of the house where my bedroom is at, which is literally at the end of the house, the opposite side of where his bedroom and the entrance is at. When I went into my room, the door, of course, was wide open for me running out. My daughter wasn't sitting down watching her tablet anymore. Now she was at the refrigerator trying to get a drink, which I have a little mini fridge in the corner of my room on the opposite side of my bed, which is right next to where the AC is placed at now. So basically, wow, from there, I had to kind of convince my daughter to come with me because she was so scared. I was yelling at her, let's go, get out of the house, we gotta get out of the house, we gotta get out of the house. And she was like, why, what happened, what did I do? And I was just like, let's go, there's a fire, move. And then I just rushed her out of the house, trying to, like, basically pushing and shoving her because I can't pick her up. She's too heavy for me. I have really bad back issues. And, wow, I'm already on pain management for that. So I am not going to throw my back out trying to get my daughter out. There's still 3 dogs in my house. The moment they heard me yell, their fight or flight, they decided to hide underneath the beds and not leave the house. And I was in so much fear because I also have a bird cage in the back of my house past my backsliding door, and they're flightless little button quails. So I had animals in my home that were alive, and I couldn't let the fire get to them. My first instinct was remembering everything that I was taught at this fire safety course that the fire department actually holds each annual year. They do fire safety for families, and it's like almost like a carnival. You go there, you get into their fire trucks and see all their equipment. They talk you through different scenarios and what to do and what's the best thing to do in case of those scenarios. So because my mind works very much differently than everybody else's, I store information. Wow. And I can access it when it's necessary and when it's relevant to what I am doing. Wow. Medical marijuana, wow. The fact that I take medical marijuana, it actually helps with focusing my ADHD so my thoughts aren't thrown off so rampant. And the focus causes an extreme cognitive focus that I can tap into when I need to. And wow. So basically, I remembered everything that I was taught during those little orientations that they were having for the kids that we took them to just a few years ago. Because we hadn't been to one in quite some time due to the COVID. But before then, we went to their fairs and their educational gatherings that they had for the neighborhood. Um, the freaking police department in West Palm Beach is a marvel and amazing, and what they do for the community service and these little samples and well, how to and how not to safely get in and out of places when there is an extreme emergency as a fire. This is what the fuck saved me and my family. I swear to God, to you, hands down, no lie. They're fucking amazing, and they give you a lot of detail if you listen and pay attention. But like I said, my brain works a little differently than other people. So wow, I that's why I'm so good at making soaps, and wow, and why they're so effective too. Wow, and how I can learn things so quickly as I do, and why I have different accreditations. Wow, in different things. So wow, I'm sorry. It's still intense because I'm still trying to remember what happened next. My daughter, my son, and my other daughter, my twin 6-year-olds and my 17-year-old were outside the door in front of my house. My daughter's still kind of yelling at me, Mom, Mom, get out of the house, get out of the house. She was so worried that I'm going to get pulled into the fire. I said, Bethany, stay away, get out of there. I got this. I gotta save the house. I gotta save the house. The dogs aren't leaving. And I just ran straight back into my room. I took the biggest comforter that I could find, and the first thing I was thinking was smother the fire. The less oxygen that a fire has, the faster it's going to go out. But you're supposed to wet the blanket before you do that. Here's where I made my mistake. I went straight into the room with a comforter first. Just as a first instinct, tried dropping it down. I was pushing weight on it, and when I lifted it up, it was getting singed, and it was extremely dry to the touch. So I said, oh my God. I ran to my kitchen sink, and I started proceeding to turn the water on and like patting all the blanket, the comforter down with water to try to absorb as much water as I could. From there, I took the comforter. I went running back to my son's room. Wow! From there, I threw it on top of the dog's bed. The dog's bed has a metal framing. It's one of those bungee ones that the dogs can kind of just sit on top of, but it doesn't hit the floor, and you can even put a cushion on it. His had a freaking cushion on it, and it was on that type, so it's a metal framing, just to keep in mind. And generally, that material is highly flammable, and it's kind of made of some type of fibrous plastic type of material. So keep that in mind too. All right, so I throw the blanket down on top of it. I start pressing on it. I do hear it like kind of singeing down and helping out, but there's still a lot of flames around me. So I go ahead and I pick it back up. I go running back into the sink. I start patting it down, putting all the water as much as I can, but this kitchen sink runs so little on the pressure of water. So it wasn't much that was getting wet at a time, and I was trying to move it around to wet it as much as I could. This comforter, we use it like on our queen size mattress, so it's a really good size comforter. Just to keep in mind the size and everything, it could literally cover my whole body if I needed it to. So I went back. When I went back to the room, this is where the shit hit the fan. The fire traveled from the dog's bed to the electrical outlet where the plug was plugged into, and the fire ran up the cord onto the television. The television is actually placed very high on the ceiling, so it had the best view for everybody to see. If you were in there taking care of him, you could watch the TV. It didn't matter where we put the bed, you could still see the TV. So it was very high up. Um, I went ahead and the first thing I did was try to step on any area that wasn't burning the best that I could. And I was burning my feet basically at this point because there was fires all over the floor. There was still a big fire around the bed. All the metal was heating up and it was hot to the touch. I went ahead and threw the comforter on top of the television because the flames already had got that high, and I covered the television and I patted it down, and then I went ahead and took the comforter and I folded it around the cords and I tried pulling it down to cover all the flames to try to stop it and smother them all the way down. Then I pulled out the but almost halfway of rubbing the cord, the electricity cut out of half of the house. And I remember it was half of the house because when I ran out of that room, I saw some lights on. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. So the lights cut out. Now the room is completely dark. The only thing that's lighting the room are the flames that are next to me and around me. And I went ahead and got all the way down to the base of the cord and around the outlet. When I saw that it was off, I pulled the cord out of the outlet and I went to run. I took the comforter and ran this time to the shower. The fire was just so much. The comforter kept drying out and it kept getting burnt. And at this point, my feet were burnt and my arms were already getting slightly burnt. I went ahead and I took everything was hurting me. I ran to the shower. The bathroom was right across from his bedroom. And I don't even know why I didn't think of it to begin with for the first couple of times. But, everything was fine and I wasn't burnt up at that point. I just went ahead and the door was closed. That's why I didn't even think of it because the door was closed shut. I had to force the door open. About a few weeks before this had happened, my mom came over. She painted everything, and she painted the inside of the damn door for the bathroom and around the edging, and the damn thing's been stuck ever since, so it's hard to get in and out of the bathroom. So I pushed my way through the bathroom and I threw the whole comforter into the shower and I proceeded to turn on the shower head. I turned on all the water. I started spreading the shower head over the whole thing as much as I could. And I tried to be as quick about it as possible because in the meantime the fire was still continuing in the room. I shut off the water. I went ahead and took the comforter and I threw it on top of the fire that was remaining on the floor and trying to wipe off what was on the wall. And basically the fire was the whole dog bed frame. The mesh that they had on there began to burn up, and as it was burning, it was turning into plastic and it was melting away. In order for me to stop this and all the little bits of fire that were everywhere, I had to throw my body on top of this comforter and over the fire to smother it out the best I could, because if I would have just thrown it there and the fire would have caved over the top part, which might not have been properly wet, basically it would have caught fire, and then I would have been, my best thing was putting my body between the comforter, smothering it out the best I could, and just doing that over and over again to every different area that I saw that had little bits of fire that were still lighting up because they were burning down into the ground. My wood paneling, the flooring that I had I have what's called like a floating floor. They just lock into place and they stay like that, and you just have like a material that goes underneath that adds for cushion. All that was getting burnt through all the way down to the cushioning underneath, and then it would hit the actual wood of the house itself. So what happened was I smothered everything down as much as I could, but the bars of the bed and all the way around the framing of the dog bed was so hot to the touch that it didn't matter even that I shut off the fire. My arms were exposed, my feet were exposed, and as I was going down there, the tips of my feet, the top part, the balls of your feet, the top part, and your toes, like they all got burnt. And then I got burnt on my arms, which I'm going to show you. I ran out of bandages. The hospital did not provide me with anything to take home, and I ran out of what I purchased at the store 2 days ago. And I'm going to show you my feet. Please don't be disgusted. But here they go. This is one of them. This is as it's healing. Today's day 5. This was the worst one. It was 3rd-degree burns on my feet. And my arms were 2nd-degree burns. The reason there were 3rd-degree burns on my feet was because I lost all the feeling to my nerve endings. They weren't hurting me after they were really hurting me. They kind of just, everything went numb. But my arms did continuously hurt. They bubbled over. It popped in the hospital, me trying to get up in my bed. Okay, but once again, I'm fast forwarding. So basically, after I got the fire off and I turned everything off in the room, I went running straight to the electrical box that we have in the house, and I proceeded to shut off the main power. The worry that I had was that television was plugged into the outlet. The outlet midway had cut out power in the house, and all I could think of was, oh no, I might have an electrical fire following after the basic fire that just happened. So I shut off the main to the house, ran back to the room to double check to make sure that there was no little red lights or anything lit up, that it was completely dark. At that point, I knew the fire was completely out. I ran back to the back of my house, past my room, opened up the glass sliding door, opened up the back room. Hold on. I'm sorry. So I was saying that I went ahead and I opened the back door, and I went to run back to the front of the house. The reason I did this was to try to exhaust out all the smoke that was in the house, because the house was filling up with a lot of electrical and plastics that were burning. You know, I went running out to the front, trying to double check on all my kids, make sure everybody was okay. You know, I was basically just kind of belting out, you know, is everybody okay? Is everybody okay? How's Gabriel? Is he hurt? Is he burned? And, you know, my daughter told me, no, he's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with him. And, you know, I knew that I took the lighter out of his hand and I chucked it somewhere. I don't know if I got pissed off and I think I threw it in the garbage. Because it was like split second, grab him, grab that, throw it out. Garbage was right there next to the doorway in the kitchen area, right in front of his bedroom. So I'm pretty sure I threw it away. And it's probably in the dumpster right now because garbage pickup has already been done and my husband has already thrown out all the trash in the house, and it was a lot of trash. But I'm still jumping ahead of myself. All right, so from there, I collapsed on the floor. I couldn't walk anymore. My feet were completely burnt up. The pain was searing. My arms were all burnt up. The pain was really, really searing. And, you know, it was like almost like adrenaline was just keeping me focused. And the first thing that I did, believe it or not, out of all this shit, I was actually able to go back to my bedroom, get my cell phone, and leave out the house with it as I had collapsed. The first thing I did was I knew that I was injured. I found out, I made a quick assessment. I have a medical background and I can do that. My quick assessment was my children are fine. Nobody had any physical damage to them, but I had a lot of damage to myself and a lot of smoke damage. I needed to contact not 911 first, but my husband first. The reason I contacted my husband first is because I needed somebody as an adult to be there with my children because they were going to take me away in the ambulance, and that much I know for sure. It just so happened that around the time I was able to stop everything, it was roughly around maybe 6:10, 6:05, something around between then. It was early, just after 6. And I got a hold of him very quickly. He had just gotten out of work, so it worked out beautifully. I told him there's a fire. I need you to hurry up. Don't make any stops. Come straight home. Got off the phone with him quickly. He was like, call 911. I was like, I'm calling 911 right now, but I need you to get home. I'm hurt. Get home quickly. You need to look after the kids. So I hung up with him, called 911 immediately, told them I needed the fire department there immediately, explained to them that I had shut everything off, that I had disconnected all the electrical wiring from the fire, and that I also had shut off the main to the house, and that I was venting the house out, as we were there. Um, and basically, we had to like just keep my son, the 6-year-old, constantly steady because he was just trying to get up and run and do stuff, and he has so much energy he can't stay still, not even for a second. So my daughter was holding on to him because I really couldn't. I was in a lot of pain, and I explained to her that I got burnt. The ambulance came very quickly. We're talking about 5 minutes, 5 minutes at the most. 5 minutes. They got to my house very, very fast. They went ahead and they ran inside, did a quick assessment, realized that I did everything that they're actually trained to do. They were a bit disappointed that they didn't have any action to get to, but they don't insure mobile homes. If I lose my home, I lose my